Hamish, let's talk about the events there at First Minister's Questions. Ian Gray seemed liberated, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that if you look at what's happened last week and the confidence that this has given the Labour Party going into the next year, and the next year we're going to see a Scottish Parliament elections, I think, Ian Gray has every right to be buoyed up, to be confident. He feels he's got momentum behind it, and that certainly came out in his performance today.
And you had the issue, of course, was spending cuts, not where are they going to fall, although we had Ian Gray's example of the Greater Glasgow Health Board, but whose responsibility are there? What's the genesis, the origin of them?
I think, if you're in the electorate and you have tried to vote for new politics this week, you'd be exasperated by what's happening here. You've got Labour saying that these are SNP cuts, you've got the SNP saying that they're Tory and Liberal cuts, and you've got the Tories and Liberal parties saying that they're Labour cuts. Everybody is blaming everybody else and no one is taking responsibility for them. And I thought Ian Gray did well to try and pin Salmond down to the cuts that are being made at the moment in the health service.
Than future,
absolutely, in Scotland, and saying, these are your cuts, what are you doing about them? And I don't think he really got an answer.
And Mr Salmond's rebuttal was that there had been 500 million lopped off the budget generally, but the health had been more than protected in real terms.
That's right, but I think the problem he has is that these are cuts which are coming under his watch, if you like, and there are going to be more. And for all those people out there, we are going to see an awful lot more of this blame game as the cuts really start to bite.
Well, of course, we learned yesterday at that remarkable news conference in the Rose Garden in Downing Street that David Cameron had been cheeky about Nick Clegg. Hannibal Goldie was even cheekier, as you'll remember, at the manifesto launch, but she got round it quite well, didn't she?
She did, yes. I mean, I think that her reference to a Clegg, everyone in Scotland knows a Clegg, a nice nasty little fly that bites you. And her remark about a little bit of Tory antihistamine, make it go away, I think was a very nice response. To what was a slightly difficult little moment.
And asking for a consensual approach from the First Minister, it seemed to me that she got that. He was saying stand up for Scotland, but also would work cooperatively where that was required.
Well, this is an issue that the Tories will push again and again over this next year. It is trying to pin Salmond down and saying, what are you going to do? Are you going to make savings or are you going to raise taxes? They've asked him that before, they asked him that today, and I don't think they got an answer.
But then, of course, he was able to throw back, can you give a guarantee on VAT? Can you give a guarantee on income tax, capital gains tax?
Which, to be fair,
of course,
really aren't
no politician ever does.
Yeah. Well, that's not really her remit anyway,
no, indeed.
To be fair.
No, indeed. Now, let's turn to Tavish Scott. The Liberal Democrats are a bit queasy, aren't they, about how the Lib Con coalition could impact upon them in Scotland.
That's right. I mean, they'll be anxious going into the next Holyrood elections because they'll know that Labour and the SNP will throw any kind of cuts at them and say, these aren't just Tory cuts, these are Tory Lib Dem cuts.
But he contrived successfully today to show an immediate plus, an immediate gain from his perspective, and Alex Salmond agreed with that.
Right. I mean, I think for Tavish Scott today was all about flagging up an achievement, saying, look what we've achieved. We've stopped children being imprisoned in Dungavel. It didn't really matter that Salmond had already tackled that point. Tavish Scott wanted to get that on the record time and time again, and that was the only reason really he came up with it and kept on going with it.
Just very briefly, a couple of words. Who came out best today? Who came out on top?
Ian Gray, I think. I think his confidence is up, he's buoyed up, and I think that we'll see more of that kind of performance.
OK, thanks.